everybody, and welcome to What the Heal. My name is Maria Sellars, and I have the honor of being your guide as we grow along this journey together. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to you for tuning in and for learning, not just from me, but from every single person who have on the show or have had on this show. One of my favorite parts about doing this podcasting adventure, is hearing from the listeners how the stories that have been shared on this show have impacted their lives and transformed and changed their lives. And it's just, I've got chills even talking about it. And it's come up so many times since I've told people, that we're recording again and the podcast is coming back. And they're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait, because then they'd share like Danielle Hamilton and who was on last season and how she helped someone so much with their blood sugar and figuring things out that were going on from there. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So stories like that people share with me, and it makes this journey so fun. I mean, truly, it's so fun because it's not just my journey that I'm sharing. It's the other people who come on and are vulnerable and share what the heal has gone on in their world, because we feel so isolated. And each guest that I've had on has a completely different story and background. And that is the resonance that someone else needs to connect with. So thank you, listeners, for tuning in and for sharing each person's story who comes up here and lets you know these intimate details of things that have gone on in their lives. So I just wanted to start off by expressing gratitude, because I don't believe it needs to be Thanksgiving for us to be grateful. I think it's a muscle that we should really learn to exercise every single day, just, tapping into at least one thing you're grateful for. And that can be pretty easy. I actually have a canvas at home that I write things down on. And so it's an 8x10 paint canvas, blank. And so I just go through in different colors and write different things as they come up, what I'm grateful for. And I have it hanging up, and it's so cool to actually have that visual representation of it. So that may be something that you want to try too, because some days we forget what it is that we're grateful for. Some days we get disconnected from that, and that visual reminder can really help snap you out of those times and just remind you of what you really do have, so we don't get so caught up in whatever it is that we don't have, at least, yet or at the moment, because you don't ever know what's coming to you. So thank you all for being a part of this journey, because my listeners are right up there on the gratitude list. Thank you. But I wanted to kind of talk a little bit today. I had my BNI meeting this morning. And for those of you who don't know, BNI is a networking organization that I've been a part of for the last 6 years, 2018, maybe almost 7 years. I was back in my 20s still when I joined that. And at the time, I didn't have Heal yet. It was kind of in conceptualization, which, wow, that's crazy. It's actually coming up on 7 years since I signed that lease. So I didn't have that business yet. I was still in my old location, and I would go into these meetings like feeling so intimidated. Like what I offered wasn't good enough. Like I didn't deserve a seat at that table. And that experience for me, it was, a lot of that like imposter syndrome, right, that we tap into. It was huge. I even left a meeting crying once, and that was my own. That was on me. That was because I took information and created something, my own perception of it, and it kind of tapped into maybe some shortcomings that I did have, and some things that I knew were there, but I wasn't fully ready to work on yet. You've got those things too. So it was one of those. And I remember actually how empowering that moment was when I did have these tears that came up, and the shift that it allowed me to create. It allowed me to look at these vulnerabilities that I held within me And I knew they were there, but they were pieces where I'm just like, no, like we don't need to do that right now. It's okay. And so in that moment where I felt like somebody was seeing those sides, it was enough to kind of break that wall within me and motivate me to shift and to change those things. And so now, like, I freaking love my BNI. I love it so much. I just got done serving as chapter president, which I was for 2 years, and it was an amazing 2 years. We won all these different awards as a chapter. We grew so much as a chapter. It was the tears were empowering, but then the comeback was really, really amazing too. But that's what it activated within me. It allowed me, like, what? I don't just deserve a seat at the table. I'm going to the front of the table, baby. Like, let's go. And that's huge when you have those moments in your life. So today in my BNI meeting, I was talking about quartz, right? And I was like, so who in here has one of these? And like 3 people raised their hands, and I'm like, you're all liars. You're liars. You actually all have one. You have a cell phone, you have a watch, you have GPS on your phone, you have a smart TV. Like, you have any of those things? All of you? Yeah, you all have quartz. And I'm like, so, somewhere out there, and I don't know who they is, right? But they know the powers and potentials that quartz and other stones have. Like, they are very aware of it. And so you're out there using stones every single day, multiple times a day, but then rolling your eyes at how these things can benefit you. Like, I just make it make sense for me because I try so hard. And when you hear it in that way, you probably just did the same thing. You're like, oh shit, wait. Make that make sense for me. Like, if they can program, or we, not just they, we can do it too. So if we can program like these different stones to operate things on our vehicles, like automatic turn sensors and detecting, if other vehicles are there, detecting when the rain is there, being able to hold time, right? That is how time is held, is through quartz. And so if that potential is there, what else can stones do? Right? Why don't they want us to know it? I don't know, but I really enjoy working with them. I think that they make a big difference, and it was so cool. Afterwards, I was leaving the meeting, and one of the gentlemen who he's in my chapter with me, and he was like an electrical engineer in his past life. He's now, that's not what he does anymore, but he was an electrical engineer, and it was so cool because when we walked out together, he pulled his crystal out of his pocket that I had given to him before, and he's like, oh yeah, I got mine with me, and I'm like, that's right. And it was so funny. He's like, I don't even remember what you said it does, but I carry it every day. And, sometimes we don't even have to know. Just really the vibration that the stone in and of itself has is enough to make us feel good, where we keep putting it in our pocket and carrying it day after day. It's really cool. I was like cracking up. I'm like, that's so perfect, because so many people, or at least I felt back when I was like, oh, I don't deserve a seat at this table. I felt like this stuff was too much for them, right? And I didn't allow myself to be seen with the energy work as much as the massage. But it's been really cool to see how that's shifted as I've allowed all of this really weird, far out stuff that I do to be in a mainstream location. There's 50 plus people in our chapter. We've got different like lawyers and bankers and finance people and all of that. And, then you've got people carrying rocks in their pocket. So it's cool to see the shift of people who once upon a time I was like, oh, this is too much for them. Now ask for more. And there's a book in particular that electrical engineer read that I had shared with him, and I really think you should read it too. It's only like this thick. It's not a big, thick book, but it was written by an electrical engineer. I want to say his name is Jolie Kutcher, or the last name is at least Kutcher. It's amazing. It's a small read, but holy cow, it makes so much of this energy stuff make sense. So much stuff that like really doesn't make sense he puts it into terms that bring it forward in a way where it's like, yeah, there's got to be something to that. And the more moments that we can have in our life, so we're like, yeah, that does make a little bit of sense. Like, with energy work, I always share with people back in 2020 when you couldn't get hand sanitizer and you were scared you were going to grab a door handle. And the next thing you know, you're going to have these viruses and parasites and bacteria and on your hand, right? We sold out of hand sanitizer. You could not find that anywhere. Vodka companies were making hand sanitizer. Why? Like you were going to touch a handle? Were you going to see that virus on your hand? Were you going to look down and go like, oh my gosh, look at that coronavirus there? Like, no, you weren't. However, you knew you needed to wash your hands. Otherwise, it could be there lurking. And that's the same thing that happens with us at this like energetic level. Imagine if you went your whole entire life without ever washing your hands. Think about it. That's freaking gross. But you don't look at your body and go, dang, look at all of this illness-creating bacteria and viruses and parasites that are here. You don't do that. You don't do that. You just go and you wash your hands. And you don't think twice about it. You use that antibacterial soap because those bacterias are there. So if there's invisible bacterias that are there on us on a physical level, why would there not be on an energetic level? And like, think about it. And then you go your whole entire life and you never wash your energetic body, or you roll your eyes at stones and think that they don't work, even though you're using them every single day. So clearly they work for something. But we roll our eyes at these things that are out there and make it like it's not real, but make that make sense. Why did we sell out of hand sanitizer? Exactly. So when you can think about it in those ways and recognize, science has proven we are all energetic beings. Like it is there. It has been proven. So if that is the case, we need to take care of ourselves energetically as well. And so there's different things that we can do. All the heals. That's my favorite thing. We can use stones. We can get an energy work session. And there's lots of different kinds of energy work. Myself, I practice Reiki, which it's going next March, not next month, the next month. Well, whenever it is, but March, that's when I'll be 15 years practicing energy work. This Reiki was my first introduction to energy work, and I literally left the training thinking that I wasted all of my money. I was so ticked off that my friend made me go to this training. I was like, what a crock. And here I am 15 years later, not just practicing it, but like telling people about it. I now teach it. I think it's so powerful, but it's just like a piece, it doesn't solve everything. So there's other kinds of energy work too. And as wild as they are, they all kind of, it's like so hard to explain something that's so unexplainable, let alone that there are different parts that do different things of this whole unexplainable thing. So pure bio is another type of energy work that I do that works with the biofield, which are the different auric layers that feed into the different chakras. And I kind of like to refer to pure bio as like a massage for the cells, if you will. Or I'm sorry, a massage for the aura. A massage for the cells is sound healing, which is another type of energy work, in my opinion, that I also offer. But a massage for the aura is pure bio. And there's different movements that come up through those sessions that are releases that are taking place. It's really beautiful. We do those sessions every single day for 4 days, and they're only about 20 minutes long. And there's all different things that you can use them for. One of my favorite things ever with pure bio. Not ever. There's so many favorite things, actually. I'm like sitting here and I'm like, wait, I can't make that big of a bold statement. Like I've seen way too many cool things happen with that. But something that was really powerful to me was there was a woman who I was working with who had a thickened uterine lining, and she had been going to the gyno and they'd been monitoring this every 3 months, and they said at the next one, if it had grown any more at all, they were going to have to go in and biopsy and do all of these things. So she didn't want to have to do this invasive thing. And so she came to me. We did, I think, 2 or 3 rounds of pure bio before that next session. And she was like, it's gone. It's like completely clear. Does it have anything to do with pure bio? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We did 3 sessions. So, there's different things are going to work differently on everybody, but there's so many ways that you can use it. Pain. I have seen people with chronic debilitating pain have great success in lessening that. So Pure Bio, it's super cool. I love it. Sound healing, as I already mentioned, it's like a massage for the cells. You don't even really need to think about it. Like, you just drop in and you can feel as I play the different bowls, because I've got like bowls and forks and Tibetan bowls, quartz bowls, pyramids, gongs, like all of these different sound healing tools that each taps into a different part of the body. And one of my favorite things is when people come in who have no idea about any of this stuff, much like I was before, right? I had no idea, but I'll play a bowl and I'm like, okay, where do you feel that? They're like, whoa, I feel that in my heart. And then I'll play another one. They're like, that's in my head. And then like, I play another one. They're like, whoa, I feel that one in my belly. And I'm like, yes, those are the different areas that these bowls are supposed to be talking to. Those are the different energy centers that they relate to. And so again, those are people who have zero understanding of any of the things, but yet can identify and tap in, which actually is my first experience with Reiki too. When after I did it and thought I wasted all of my money at that training, and my best friend's mom passed away like 3 weeks later or so, and I went out to Arizona to be with her, and when I gave her a massage, which she was always my first massage client, so of course she'd be my first Reiki client too, and then I was like, I'm just going to do Reiki, and I'm not going to tell her like what it is. I'm just going to do it, which is kind of against the rules, but she's my best friend since kindergarten. So you could break those rules. And I didn't know at the time, but I was going and I did the energy work on her, and she was so relaxed and so chill. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. She's like not even moving. And I mean, her mom had just passed away, so she was extremely heightened before this. And afterwards she sat up and she looked at me and she was like, what was that? And I was like, I gave you a massage. And she was like, no, like, what was that electricity shit you just did? And I was like, wait, what? Like, you felt that? And she was like, what was it? And I'm like, no, wait, you felt something? Like, holy cow. Like, I had my mind completely blown in that moment in the best kind of way, where even though I actually at that time couldn't feel any of the things, like, because they're so subtle. Energy work is so subtle. It's not like waters part and angels sing down on you. It's these like small, very little subtle things that eventually add up to it feels like that. Like, holy cow, my life feels so different. The waters have parted and the angels have singing, but it's not just ever in one session. It's actually a series over time. Like, healing is a journey. It is not something that just happens like this. And I think that's a part that a lot of us really need to better understand. You can't just snap your fingers and fix things. There's work that goes into it. There's the work that I do when you come in, but there's also the work that you have to do on your own as well. And some of it can be really heavy, right? Depending on what we've kind of buried down in there. Some of the work is heavy. So I'm not going to tell you that it's not, but that's usually the hard part. And that's where we go, nope. Oh, wait, hang on. It's easy over here. Let me go back to all of my coping mechanisms and numbing behaviors, because that's exactly what I don't want to see. We have to clear these energetic patterns that are being held in our body. We have to clear these viruses and bacteria and parasites that get stored and trapped in us energetically, because it does happen. It does. That's why we wash our hands, because it does happen. And so when we can allow ourselves to clear those things away, it doesn't change anything that has happened to us. However, it does change the charge that we're holding in regards to whatever that may be. And when we can release that charge, and in releasing the charge, bring that as you release that negative, right? You have to bring in the positive. So as we give ourselves the space to clear out this shit that we've been carrying for who knows how long, let alone even if it's this lifetime, that's another rabbit hole that we're not going down today, but who knows? Clear it out. It's there. It really and truly is. And you wouldn't go your whole life without washing your hands, because that's pretty gross. So if you need me, find me. I am not your healer on Instagram. I would love to help you work with your energy. It's not healing energy, right? Energy doesn't need healing, but we do need to work with it to bring it back into balance. So I'd love to be healed for you. See you soon.